Welcome to Adventure Guys, the podcast for humans and dogs. I'm Eric the Human.
And I'm Nick the Human. And welcome to 2021!
This is episode 21 in 2021.
Oh, man. We did it. You know, you might even think we held off on episode 21 till it became 2021 for this very reason.
Yep, it was on purpose.
Eric? Eric's alive and well. You've had a crazy couple weeks of work during the holiday season.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're doing well, buddy.
Job sucks.
I'm sorry. Work sucks. I know. I'll tell you something right off the bat. But this is my third beer of the night.
Oh, damn.
Which is a great number of beers. I think 3 or 4 is when you really start feeling good. So I'm just wondering, that might power or give my podcast a different energy tonight.
Right? Especially if you haven't been drinking a lot, which I know neither of us have been. So
not at all. I had a couple beers around Christmas, and then I had like one last night. So I have these extras. And I'm pretty cool, is what I'm saying.
I'm on the other end of that spectrum. I got my green tea. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my favorite brand of tea. You know, I've been all about drinking tea. I switched from coffee to entirely drinking tea the last few months.
Yeah, listenership, every podcast. Eric, I'm like, dude, you ready to record? He goes, 1 second, I got to make my tea. It's like, it's a ritual. That's how this man prepares to bring you this podcast in gold. Continue, Eric. I just want to give you some backstory.
So I want to give a shout out to Tea Guys. They're a small company from Massachusetts, and Tea Guys are making tea for the Adventure Guys. This is the best tea I've ever had.
Oh, hell yeah.
They, I guess they have some regional Northeast distribution, because I found them at a grocery store near my parents' place, here on Long Island. And, then I checked out their website, and I've just been ordering direct from them because they have so many varieties of awesome teas. I drink like 6 or 7 cups of tea a day. It's great. I start with like the most caffeinated kinds, and I progress down throughout the day. So I'll start with like black teas,
okay,
and then I move on to green teas, and then white teas, and then herbal teas at night.
Oh man, hey, if anyone out there needs to get Eric a gift, remember this. That's awesome. Do they mess around with flavors at all? Like, or
so many different flavors. Yeah. I'm just drinking like a straight up green tea with oolong right now, but there's also like a matcha green tea blend that's really awesome. Later on, I'll probably have an elderberry super tea with like crazy antioxidants and everything. And then I've been drinking this pumpkin caramel herbal tea. There's so many different teas. It's awesome. I love this company, Tea Guys. I'm going to shout them out. I'm going to put them in the show notes.
Put them in there. Let's hit them up on Instagram. I love it.
Yeah. No, I've been shouting them out on my Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sweet. You know who else likes tea? Jake the dog.
Yeah, they start out this episode by brewing some tea.
By throwing some tea and brewing it.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Episode discussion.
Yeah. What does Jake say? Chamomile.
Yeah,
chamomile
right. I have some chamomile tea I haven't had in a while. I think I was drinking Earl Grey tea at the time when I was watching this episode.
You hadn't made it to chamomile yet.
No.
Little did you know. This is a great app. I thought this was like a very fun, good, solid app of Adventure Time. We get a lot going on this app.
Yeah, kind of a classic median Adventure Time dungeon episode.
Yeah. But in there we've got, as we've explored before on this show, some parent issues, some relationship stuff. It's really fun. And this is our first Flame Princess episode, really. Right?
Yeah, I think she's popped up here and there, but this is the first time we had an episode that really focused on her.
Yeah. And it starts out, and her and Finn and Jake are hanging out in the treehouse. And as Jake is making the aforementioned chamomile tea, out pops a flame, which is whispering evil, evil. And it's Flame King.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Flame Prince is like, hey, like, stop doing that. And apparently he's been doing this to her a lot, and like when she's not around, he whispers into her ear. Which I guess all of our parents do in some way, but not usually not usually literally, you know.
Yeah, Flame King is a pretty bad dad. He's got a real messed up relationship.
Yeah, I've seen some of those later episodes, and yeah, you know, it's interesting. So like after that, it's like, okay, how are we gonna like feel? She's like, how am I gonna feel better? Because Finn's like, don't listen to that, and then she's like, how am I gonna feel better? And Finn's solution is we should go like find a dungeon or something.
Yeah, let's just do a dungeon.
Let's do a dungeon. Which to me is like kind of perfect. How old is Finn again?
14, maybe 15 at this point.
So if you got a girlfriend and you're 14 and she's like, I want to feel better, what should I do? And you're 14, I feel like a lot of 14-year-old boys are going to be like, let's play some video games. You know what always helps me? Zelda. Or like something, you know, and I feel like we get into those territories where it's supposed to be helping her, right? Like that's kind of why they go out into the dungeon. And like by the middle of it, it's more just about like Finn wants to do the dungeon in his own way.
Yeah, he's kind of self-absorbed. This was a very mansplaining episode for Finn.
Yeah. It was, and the kind of disappointing thing about it is that he kind of turns out to be right.
What do you mean?
Okay, so let's talk about the episode. Well, I mean, not that I liked it was mansplaining, and I didn't like that. But then I didn't like that they kind of made him right about what he was mansplaining. But I think it was more about so they go and do this dungeon, and basically, like, I want to go through some of it because there were some great quotes in here. But basically, eventually, Flame Princess is like, "Why do we have to do everything your way? Like, I want to do stuff my way, right?" And Jake's like, fine, like if you're not having fun, like let's do it your way. And then she goes on an assault and starts like setting things on fire. And as soon as she starts doing it her way, those skeletons and stuff find her because she's making such a commotion. And then Finn gets trapped. And then the only way that Finn can get released from these skeletons inside of the dungeon is if she does things his way by telling the skeleton to do the splits.
Oh yeah.
And it's like that's how they get out of there. And it's like, ugh, you know. Yeah. But on that journey to that point, we get to have some fun. Right? Like, okay.
Yeah,
so
it's like one of Finn's like favorite things to do.
Yeah.
And obviously he wants it to be one of Flame Princess's favorite things also. But it's not really.
No. It's not. She's going on for the ride. She wants to have some fun, but it becomes clear that she kind of has to like follow along, you know. So yeah, like they go in and immediately they're like, oh, this is kind of a cool dungeon. And Finn's like, it's kind of trying a little hard. I mean, well, I would say one of my favorite things that happens in the episode is they're going to look for a dungeon and Finn's trying to find it. He can't find it. And Flame Princess uses her heat sense in order to locate it. And when she does like a little hop and like a flame goes out into like a, you know, like 100-foot radius. And she goes, oh, this tree over here is hollow or isn't it's real.
Like heat sonar or something.
Yeah.
Like she just has this new ability.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Heat sonar. What a great power for a cartoon character to have. I loved that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that Finn just assumes that there's going to be a dungeon entrance just around in the woods.
Yeah.
And of course there is. That's just a thing about their world that they live in.
I know, and it's really funny is like you got to think about it is like this is way in the future. And it's like at some point between now and when the show takes place, was there a great dungeon building renaissance?
I thought about that too. I was like, somebody went to the trouble of constructing all these dungeons. Like
it had to be like a cultural movement, like akin to the development of the suburbs in the 1950s, because the proliferation of dungeons within this world is substantial. Like, I'm just wondering if there was certain life forms, such as skeletons or such as human people, or like Susan Strong, whatever, like these different people where they had to go like, all right, it's crazy up here. We got to take to under the ground to survive. I don't know.
Yeah. It was a very Dungeons and Dragons influenced episode. As well as, like classic video games, Zelda style influences too. I wonder maybe in the history of at some point after the Great Mushroom War, some of the only surviving documents of our time were like the Dungeon Master's Guide and a copy of Legend of Zelda for NES, something like that.
That's a really fun theory. I love that. That would really, really make this all tie together. Yeah, but anyway, but they're down there, and it's funny because it's always this self-aware because Finn is sort of like, this dungeon's trying a little hard, and Flamber's like, oh yeah, I see all the skulls. Where it's like they're like familiar with the canon of dungeons and like the iconography, and they run into a skeleton who's fishing with like his own arm, I think, and and then they come and talk to him, and Flame Princess immediately wants to set him on fire. And Finn's like, no, he might know some stuff. And they have like a really fun back and forth where they start screaming at each other, where he's like, tell me your thing. He's like, no. And it progresses to a classic Finn shriek, which makes the skeleton just go, hey, stop it. All right. Like, I'll tell you whatever you want. You know what I mean? And then Finn makes him do the splits, which is like kind of embarrassing him, but I guess also to neutralize him. Right? Pretty funny stuff. And then they're going on, and like, this is like where Finn's starting to tell her what to do. She's like talking louder. He's like, you gotta whisper. And then he's also like, you gotta slow down. You gotta sneak around when you're in a dungeon. You gotta go quick. You gotta look around the corner to see what's coming. And it's kind of funny. It's like he's really doing it like he's like getting into the whole like vibe and like what it means to be in a dungeon. You know what I mean? And then they have a really great exchange when they come upon a big guard, and he's asking her, right? Can you how far can you throw fire? Is that what he says?
Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and he's like, have you ever thrown your fire at a little itty bitty type piece of rope? And she's like, no. He's like, how good do you think you are on a scale of 1 to 100? And she's like, I don't know, 42. And he's like, 42? And she's like, I don't know, I've never rated myself before. Great quote. And then that guard turns out to be a hologram, and they get on and they find the key. Another great Finn quote. Sorry, Eric, I'm just going on a ramble now, but another great Finn quote. They find the key, and then he's like, oh, this is the key. And she's like, now we have to go back to the beginning to try this out. And he goes, we don't have to. We get to.
Yeah. No, I love that moment because it's extremely typical of like early RPGs. And I haven't played a lot in the last couple of weeks because I've been working so much, but I am working my way through Super Mario Odyssey right now, which is like the first like Mario classic style Mario game I've played in a while. And just like the world of video games and like different tropes and stuff are all coming back to me. Mm-hmm. And that thing where like, oh, you get the piece that unlocks the puzzle that was like all the way back there. And you just have to retrace your steps. It's such a classic RPG kind of thing. And people really get into the genre. But I think a lot of modern style video games have left tropes like that behind because they're just so tedious.
Yeah.
It's like it takes a certain kind of person to really like that style of gaming. Finn is obviously that kind of person, but I think most people now aren't into that kind of like like the game only takes a long time because it's so tediously difficult. You just have to like retrace everything. It's like there's nothing like story-wise that propels a game like that forward.
Yeah.
And FP is not having it.
No, she is not having that. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, it's also just even you take it away from the from the video game context and even just to like the boyfriend girlfriend sort of thing where you're trying to share something and one person's clearly more into it than you. Like if you ever like, it's like cooking dinner and you're just like not into cooking, or like you don't even give a shit about, I don't know, beef stroganoff or whatever. And you're like, now we gotta put a casing around it, and then we get to like, this is the fun part, and you're like, the fun part, you know what I mean?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're watching a
lot
TV. You're watching a TV show, and you're like, that was okay, I guess. Oh yeah, but like, wait till you get to episode 5. Like that's when you're like, you know what I mean? Season 5.
This is also the first time it seems that Finn is like sharing these kinds of activities with someone who isn't Jake.
Yeah.
He's not used to like someone he's that close to not sharing like 100% of his interests.
Yeah.
This is a largely Jakeless episode.
Yeah.
He brews some tea and then he's out.
Yeah. It's almost to like remind us or set a little thing that this is not Jake. You know, like a reminder. Yeah.
Like, because this episode could have definitely been like Jake as the third wheel along for the ride, and just sort of Finn ignoring Flame Princess.
Yeah, this is
in order to hang out with Jake.
Yeah, I find that would be more of a typical cartoon move. This is way more fun in trying to figure them out how to connect over this thing. Like it was way more interesting to me in that to do it this way without Jake. Yeah.
I think the way that their relationship plays out, Finn and Flame Princess, is pretty realistic, and like it doesn't end well, but it's one of the more, I guess, honest depictions of like two people that aren't right for each other. Well, Finn was like definitely shitty to Flame Princess in the end of their relationship, and like they never get back together, which a lot of fans wanted to happen, but like that doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah, it's like, why would they get back together? Yeah, dude, I agree with all of that. I haven't seen all of their relationship episodes. I've seen before and after a lot more. This is like a period of the show that I really haven't seen. Is their relationship, and so I'm excited to know more of it. It's a fun thing that they did in the show.
Yeah, I mean, symbolically, just her being literal fire and not being able to touch Finn without burning him is, a pretty strong current in like the thematic direction of their relationship.
Yeah, I love it. Now you're speaking my language.
Like they're pretty essentially incompatible.
Yeah, like they literally can't be. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's also fun. I mean, it is funny you're talking about sharing something that he cares about that's not the same as Jake, is that he doesn't necessarily like, I think you learn eventually, like when you're showing people, you have to, like when you're showing somebody else something, you're kind of doing like a sort of mental gauging, right? Like how much are they into this, right? Like say you were explaining guitars to a friend, right? And they say they like guitars. You don't just jump in like into the most deep end talking about like your sick reverend and what and the specific one you have, and like this pickup sounds different than this pickup, because you don't know if they're that deep on it, right? So you kind of like ease into it, and you're looking for common ground, and you want to talk about things that I guess I'm just talking about decent conversation and stuff like that. And I feel like Finn, and maybe when you're a teenager and you're just excited or whatever, like he kind of skips past that kind of nuance, like
right, yeah,
empathy.
Hey, we talked about Eternal Sunshine a few episodes ago. Have you watched the recent Charlie Kaufman movie? I'm thinking of ending things.
No, is it good?
I just watched it last night, and then I watched this episode of Adventure Time today. It like almost the whole movie is about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What I'm describing?
Yeah. Like,
oh, wow.
Like a sort of new relationship, and trying to like gauge like what the other person is interested in relation to your own interests, and maybe it doesn't quite meet expectations. Of course, it's like a totally surreal postmodern way of depicting that.
That's interesting. What, did you like it? Because I've heard some mixed things, sort of.
Yes, I liked it.
Okay.
But but take that answer exactly how I
Said
pronounced
it.
it.
Okay, that's good. That's a good review. Very succinct, honest.
It's definitely the least whimsical of his movies, which is something I always appreciated about his work. It seems the most specific, and its specificity is not necessarily something about a thing that resonates so much with me in terms of like what I'm interested in seeing a narrative about.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little smaller than his other movies.
Yeah. So now I'm looking at his movies. I've seen, it would seem only the big ones. I've seen Being John Malkovich, Adaptation, Eternal Sunshine. Synecdoche, New York, I fell asleep watching that in college because I tried to watch it at like 11 or midnight. Like, you pull one of those dumb moves. And
yeah. That might be my favorite of his.
Oh, cool. I have it on my list of movies to watch. So
it's that was the first one he directed also. Oh, the thing about I'm Thinking of Ending Things is that like he directed the fuck out of this movie. Like the cast is relatively small, and there's no way that this movie would have turned out the way it did if he had just written the screenplay, which is what he used to be known for,
right,
as a screenwriter. But like the direction of these characters is so bonkers.
Okay.
It's like acting is really good, but like they had to have been directed so freaking crazily to like get those performances. It's like this movie was directed, like, for sure.
Okay. Well, I gotta watch it then. It's on Netflix. No excuses. That's funny. Cool. Thanks for the rec. I watched. I put this on my personal Instagram, but I watched 100 movies during quarantine this year.
Oh yeah, I think I saw you post about that. I didn't read the whole list of everything you watched though.
Yeah, I know that's asking a lot, but yeah, but it.
My brain has been all over.
Oh yeah. But the 100 movies. I have a list. The list of movies to watch before I posted that was already over 100, and then I wanted to start a dialogue and see what people thought and ask for recommendations, and now I got another 50 or 60 movies to watch. Luckily there were some people that people that were on my list that people were bringing up, and I was like, okay, I guess we got to watch that one. And then also some new ones that I never heard of that multiple people were saying. It'll be fun to do. But yeah, it's funny. I thinking about, because I own a lot of records. I own a bunch of books, and you can't see, but behind me are some guitars. I think that had this pandemic occurred a long time ago, I would have been financially ruined due to Blu-ray and DVD purchases. Thank God for streaming.
Bygone era.
I know.
I don't know if I told you. You remember in August there was that big tropical storm that came through the Northeast?
Yeah.
And we lost power for 6 days.
Yeah.
It was only because of finding my sister's old DVD collection in my parents' house from 10 years ago that I was able to survive through that 6 days of no internet.
That's fine.
I mean, people don't buy DVDs anymore or Blu-rays or anything, but
No.
my sister used to buy a lot of movies. She had a whole lot. And I guess she doesn't need them anymore because she just left them all in my parents' garage. So.
I know. It's weird. I kind of I have my record collection. I kind of think also it's, I don't know. I shouldn't say this because this is also correlating when I was 19, which is everyone's prime music listening age or whatever, but having a finite amount of music to listen to where you had to buy it or on CD or records, just I think led to such deeper connections with music that I have, just because I was in the car and I only had 5 CDs in the changer. So I inevitably would just listen to those 5 CDs, even beyond when I was going for a ride and be I don't really want to listen to this, but I guess I'll listen to it anyway. And then you just find a new song you like, or those kinds of things.
And you would have to buy an album without hearing all of the songs first. Maybe you heard one song. Maybe you didn't know any of the music. My first Less Than Jake CD
Yeah.
was Hello Rockview, and I hadn't heard anything on that album. I think I had heard like a couple tracks from Pezcore, and then Hello Rockview was like the new album from them at the time.
Wow.
So I got that like sight unseen, and of course it was a really great record. But like you would just buy albums without knowing anything about the music that was on it.
Oh yeah, it was a big decision too, especially.
And then I think confirmation bias would contribute to liking music that way.
Oh yeah,
it's like if I was going to spend $16 on this album, like I better like it.
Yeah, if you didn't, then it was like, especially at that age, where like $16 is like a big deal. Or getting my parents, I don't know about you, but getting my parents to buy me a CD was like a big deal. Like I didn't get to just buy CDs every week. I know there were kids like that, but like giving my parents to buy me a CD was an event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I had to mow lawns for like 2 weeks to warrant that CD. It was like there was real value attached to each of these. So when you made a bad choice, it stung. And then it would sit there and you'd look at that Sugar Ray CD and be like, there were 2 good songs on that.
Yeah.
God
I
damn
bought
it.
that Sugar Ray CD.
Yeah. Ah, fuck. Yeah. Eric, can I ask though? Do you see the snail?
No, I did not see the snail. Nick, did you see the snail?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
All right. Sean saw the
Yo,
snail.
not gonna lie, I did not even try.
No, I really might have to do an additional snail search viewing of like one of these episodes coming up, because I just get so caught up in the ep and like thinking about what we're going to talk about, being transparent here. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm writing down things that I want to talk about, or like trying to formulate thoughts on the episode, not looking for
I didn't do that with this episode at all. I was just like, let's just watch this.
Yeah.
In and out. I took no notes. I saw no snail. My life has been weird recently.
Yeah. Understandable. Have a nice day.
So what is it? Miscellany Mania time?
Oh yeah, buddy.
There's things you may not know. Those Eric and Nick will show you all the trivia in Miscellany.
All right, Eric. Do you have anything you'd like to discuss about
Not really. Do you have anything?
about Vault of Bones? We never really talked about the title Vault of Bones. Interesting. I guess that's just what you would call that dungeon.
Yeah, it's just literal, I suppose.
Yeah. I was trying to find like a deeper meaning, like something with her dad. I mean, that is the one interesting thing about this episode, is that like it starts with the dad conflict, and then we don't really
drops it.
Yeah, it just drops it. We don't end up the title like it's. I guess it's almost setting up for future stuff that we're gonna talk about with Flame King. So
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you could say that like her whole conflict with Finn in the dungeon is like Finn wants her to do it the right way, and she's doing it the wrong way because she's evil, because her dad said she was evil. But I think
we do think, yeah,
it's kind of easy to lose sight of like if that's the underlying theme, that like she's trying to prove that she's not evil. I that wasn't really at the forefront of my mind. It was I focused more on the relationship between the two characters.
Yeah. I looked online a little bit. I didn't really honestly see any great Miscellany Mania.
Yeah, man, I look at this Adventure Time wiki, and there is some petty shit on here. There's like, what does it say? when Flame Princess was saying, okay, yeah, let's do it, dungeons, her left eye looked smaller than her right eye. Like, come on. Adventure Time Wiki calling out whoever the animator was for those like 10 frames or whatever that's just drew an eye different. I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice
Like,
that either.
these people work so hard on this show, and you're just going to
I love your
call
empathy.
someone out.
I love the empathy that you're sticking up for the people who make the show. That's really admirable. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't appreciate the error call outs on the Adventure Time Wiki. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and you're entitled to it. Hey,
Hey,
yeah, well, you go.
oh, this would be a tangent. Never mind.
Oh, no, I love tangents. I'm indulging you.
Okay. As we've been doing this podcast, I've espoused my newfound respect for people that work on these shows many times.
Sure.
They do a lot of hard work. I'm seeing a lot of Adventure Time crew members pop up on the credits to Summer Camp Island, which I've been watching. Just reading a lot of these art books and figuring out a lot about the process. I have undertaken something recently that has even further deepened my appreciation for what these people do. I haven't talked about it because I wanted to make sure I was going to stick with it for a little while. And I've been doing this now for the last maybe almost 2 months. I've been taking online classes in drawing and cartooning.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. It's such a crazy world. I've never done anything like in the visual art sphere, like never. And I'm learning so much about this, and it's so crazy the hard work that these people do. It's elucidated a lot about it in that I think when people outside view the world of drawing and that kind of thing, they see like a professional drawing a character or something, and it looks so fast and natural and quick and just effortless. That's not the case. I think when you see someone that's drawing, I think that's like a performance. Like that's someone who's like, who's not like, they're aware that people are watching them and they're drawing in a certain way.
It's almost like it's like seeing somebody sing a song, and it's like, well, them writing that song does not look like them singing it. Like it took a bunch of other shit they had to do. Like, right?
Yeah. So as I'm learning all these techniques about drawing figures and that kind of thing, it seems so difficult and it's so discouraging because you don't get it quickly. You're like, but someone just scribbles out a cartoon character and it looks so cool. Why can't I do that? And the things that you don't see is that a finished sketch, drawing, whatever, goes through so many revisions, right? Like you do like the rough version, then you do like the second rough version where you start refining things a little bit, then you do like the final rough where things are more refined, and then you go back and you ink, and then that's like the final revision, and then like and even on the inking stage you're changing proportions here and there, and you're just like doing the same piece like 10 times and just like slightly changing details each time you go over it, and it takes so long, and that's okay. Like I am down for that because that's how I write music.
Yeah.
And just gaining that understanding of how lengthy the actual process of drawing and cartooning is has really deepened my appreciation for the work that these people do. Because it's not quick, it's not effortless, it's painstaking.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so excited for you, and that's really cool. I can't wait to see what you come up with. And like,
yeah, I'm trying to just get a really good cartoon self-portrait. That's like my first goal. Like draw like a cartoon version of me, and I'm almost there. I'm learning like how to like pose a figure and that kind of thing. But yeah, I've been doing these online courses. I have a lot of random free time at my shitty job. Because the way breaks work, well, New York State mandates certain break periods.
Sure.
the way that this company does it overnight is that everyone just takes their breaks all together between 2 and 3:15 a.m. So there's an hour and 15 minutes every night.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night where I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything.
What is everyone else doing?
They just, I mean,
put on either headphones, watch something.
Some people take naps.
Like in their car.
They're
or
not
something?
supposed to.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, generally people are kind of lax about mask protocol and socialization and that kind of thing. I mean, like the job that I do is pretty independent. I don't do it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Then everyone takes their break at the same time. So like, I see people kind of being too close to each other, like eating with masks off and everything. I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere near here. So I go somewhere alone, and I have an hour and 15 minutes every night. I've downloaded these lessons on my phone, and I bought like a beginner set of like good pencils and everything. And I just learned to draw.
That's cool. Dude, that's a great use of your time. That's making the best out of less than ideal situation right there. And I commend you for that. That's cool.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Trying my best. Yeah, it's fun. You know,
Because
it was really difficult.
You can't be
at first.
I mean, I guess making records in that hour and 15 minutes from 2 to 3:15. I guess you could get like a iPhone beat machine, or I don't know, but like I like that you're just not like, well, I can't make music, so I'm not going to do anything. You're kind of like looking for what you can do, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I probably should find a way to relax.
Yeah,
but
that too. Yes.
But this is what I have elected to do with the free time that I'm forced to have in the middle of the night. And it was like I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to stick with it. But I've been doing it for a little while now, and I'm definitely improving. It's like it's so like tangible, the proof that I'm improving. So I just look at the sketches that I did from 6 weeks ago, and I look at the sketches I did a couple nights ago, and it's like these are so different. I got so much better at this. It's like right there.
That's incredible. And to take classes too is really great. I have a lot of these endeavors, and I've been thinking like I should maybe like try to take a class in one of these. Like it's rather than just fucking around. That's cool. I love that, dude.
Have you checked out Masterclass?
Yeah. I've watched some of those.
Are you subscribed to it?
I got a free 1-year subscription through like a online thing when it first came out, and it expired recently.
Oh damn! Because their membership plan seems really stupid.
What is?
It's like $180 for a year subscription, and you get access to all of their videos for a year, but you cannot purchase individual courses.
That is a bummer.
Yeah, so it's like maybe there's like one
because how many
course that you really want to do, but you don't want to spend $180 to get access to like, I don't know, Natalie Portman teaching acting.
Yeah.
Like she's great, but I don't want to learn how to be an actor.
No,
I have enough on my plate.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I guess that is, you kind of have to hope that people want at least a couple to justify that. That's really a weird business model.
Yeah.
Because I watched it, and I watched a couple different ones that I was interested in, and and the ones I watched were more broad. I watched the David Lynch, obviously one was absolutely fantastic.
Was it? Yeah, because that's one of the ones that interests me.
That one is incredible. Steve Martin, great. And I did improv for a year, and I've written some stuff, and I really would like to before like I don't know. I want to create shit till I die, but I really would like to like see one of my comedic projects through.
Did you watch the David Sedaris one?
No. I feel like
that's one that I think would be up your alley.
I know.
That's one that I'm interested in.
David Sedaris. I watched a little bit of the St. Vincent one, which is just like creativity, and I wanted to watch the Judd Apatow one again because of the creativity, but like that one seems really cool because he literally brings in like his outlines from 40-Year-Old Virgin and the storyboards and the multiple drafts. So you can see the like what he made, and like also like has outlines for like, this is how you need to make an outline for a movie. Here's how you like, that seems really cool. And I guess we're making Masterclass's case for them where I want to watch 5 of those. So cool. But like $180, like I would, if you could pay-per-view those for $20, like I would do that all day.
Right? Because that seems kind of maybe $30.
$30,
even. I don't know,
35.
They're not that long, right? They're like 4 hours.
No, the David Lynch one is worth $50. It's worth 30-something bucks. Dude, the Steve Martin one was great, and I read his book. I don't know if I talked to you about that, but his memoir is great. But his masterclass is great, and for similar reason his book is because he talks about what he's done, and he literally says in it that he said, "I was born with no talent." He says, "I cannot sing, dance, or act, and I was not the funniest guy in the room." He goes like, "I was just really interested in it, and I figured out a way to do it." He's like,
I appreciate that point of view so much.
I know. He's like, "I thought about it." He was a psychologist. He was a philosophy major. He's like, "I really just like, I loved this stuff, and I thought about why do I like it, and then how do I do what I like, and I just tried to figure it out, and little by little I figured it out." And he's like, I'm going to show you like what I thought about. And he does like a lot more thinking about like how he approached comedy. And that I was like, this is gold. This is another tangent, but I'm really excited to read Jeff Tweedy from Wilco's book about songwriting that he just put out. He put out a memoir like a year and change ago. And then this year, a couple months ago, he put out a book called How to Write One Song. And like I'm really excited to read it. But part of what his whole thing is sort of demystifying like what it means to be an artist. And he even said in an interview that I read that a lot of artists like to talk about that they don't know where the ideas come from. They're given to them from some other realm, or they're a conduit, or it's some sort
like
of
romanticized and mythologized. And like, that's, I mean, you can be technical about this. That doesn't ruin the arts.
No, and I think what he was saying is he says, I think it's a lot of insecure people trying to make themselves sound and just feel more important than they actually are. Because the truth is that he says, I think every single person, I don't know if he says this, but this is what I would say is I think every single person, because every single person truly is unique and has some sort of point of view, probably could make some sort of art that would be worth seeing by some amount of people. You know what I mean? And I think those people are just lucky that the thing they made, lots of people responded to it. Not or lucky, or maybe they were smart and they are talented, but I just think that there's a lot of people trying to make them feel. Him and Steve Martin are on similar cloth where it's way more. It's like, let's take some of the romantic. Like, you can figure this out. Like, it's like anything else. I don't know.
Yeah. I appreciate the point of view. I've never been like a huge Jeff Tweedy fan, like his music really. But I am a fan of that way of thinking. So
I'll read the book because I love him, and then I'll tell you, I'll give you Cliff Notes, or you can borrow it, or or maybe you'll want to read it. I don't know. We'll see what it's like. That's cool. Well, if I get Masterclass, maybe I'll give you my login again. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be rad. The one that I was interested in, I don't know if you're super familiar with him, was Neil Gaiman's course on storytelling.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Because I was like, all right, I'm learning to draw cartoon characters. How would I tell a story like in like comic form, for example? And Neil Gaiman wrote Sandman, which is like one of the greatest comics ever.
Well, that's cool. I mean, yeah, and they also have like David Mamet, and then Sandra Rhimes for television, Dave Sedaris, like you were saying, Jeff Apatow, Aaron Sorkin. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could really probably learn some cool shit off there.
Yeah, the drawing classes that I'm taking, I'm getting them through Udemy. Familiar with that platform?
I am. I've seen that, and I've thought about taking certain things off there. I've gotten into photography. I've always wanted to crack into Photoshop and Illustrator, and I've just never done it. And I've thought about
there's
going
plenty
on
of stuff on Udemy for that.
Yeah.
What I found, it's obviously not as like celebrity curated as something like Masterclass. It's just like kind of regular people. So I'm actually simultaneously doing 3 different courses on there. and it was a little bit weird because not one course was holistic enough, or not one instructor was, you know, able to talk about everything in a learning style that was effective enough for me. So like I did one class where it's like just sort of general drawing and sketching, and I learned a lot of like fundamentals from that one, and learned about like using the tools and like the very like technical getting started aspects. And then there's another one on like general cartooning characters, which has been the most helpful, but the instructor is very sort of like, hey, there's no real rules. Like you can use these guidelines, but you know, do it in your own way. If you want to do it like this, that's cool. If you want to do it like that, that's cool. It's like, yeah, but I really don't know how I want to do it because I'm totally new. So tell me a single way to do it. And maybe I get good at that way and I realize I don't want to do it that way, but I won't know until I get good at that way. So I just need something a little bit more directed. And the other one I was going through was a specific manga illustration one, which is not something that I really want to do, but it was just like, it was specific enough to be like, this is how you do it this exact way. So I learned to do it that exact way. And then like, okay, some of the principles I can apply towards other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes a little bit of exploration on that platform to like figure out what works the best. But those courses are only like $12. Like they're always on sale. Like they're like, this is a $150 course. It's 90% off.
I'm going to look into this. I'm excited to see what you do, dude. Visual animation and like drawing. So cool. Hell yeah, man. I love that. Fuck yeah. Okay, I'm going to look into Udemy and yeah, we'll talk about this more. I'd say though it's time to pick an episode.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
What are we gonna watch next week? What are we gonna watch? Let's go! It's the episode generator.
We got episode 100.
Oh, that's big.
I guess that's cool. Do we want to save it for something cooler? Or just...
I wondered about that.
What is the episode? It's season 4, episode 22, Ignition Point. I don't know. Is that a Flame Princess episode? Ignition Point? I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm just thinking if we want to save that for something.
So some shows make a big point about doing their 100th episode. Did Adventure Time? I don't know.
Is Adventure Guys going to do that?
What?
Are we going to do that? We'll definitely do something.
It is a Fire Kingdom episode. Flame Princess and the Flame King.
Should we just do it? I'm in.
Sure.
Cool. We're in. Okay, we're doing it. I love it.
Ignition Point.
Hey, if any of you guys out there are taking up, it's the new year. If you're taking up any fun hobbies, like send us an email. Did you see the mail at gmail.com? I would love to hear what you guys are working on. And what hey, we're going to improve the show. If you have any thoughts, let us know. Hey, we did get an email. Did you see this?
Oh, yeah. Let's
hear that theme song.
Mail.
Yeah. I love that song.
All right. Did you see the mail?
Okay. So the email
what we get, Nick?
The email we got, the subject title was Just for Nick, and it said, I'm literally sending you this email just so Nick can hear the song again. LOL. Happy New Year, fellow humans. Thank you, Wilson, because I got to hear that song and I love it.
Good old Wilson coming through.
Yeah. I love it. Thanks, Wilson. And thank you all, everybody else who's been listening. We love you, and we're excited to do more of these episodes throughout the rest of the next year.
Cool. All right.
All right. See ya.
Peace out, y'all.
Bye.